Welcome to the Optimal Life Project After Dark series. Tonight, you're listening to 100 calm health facts designed to help you relax and fall asleep. Why you don't need to do anything but listen. Your body already knows how to sleep. It has known since before you were born. This is not a lesson in effort, but a journey through the remarkable intelligence happening inside you right now as you begin to settle. Over the next hour, we'll explore what your body does while you rest. Not what you must make it do, but what it does automatically, perfectly, without your conscious thought. Each truth is a small reassurance that you are safe, that your biology is working, and that sleep is not something you achieve, but something you allow. Let's begin. Deep within the center of your brain, nestled in a region no larger than a grain of rice, sits one of the most remarkable timekeeping devices in the known universe. This tiny cluster of approximately 10,000 neurons, known as the suprachiasmatic nucleus, orchestrates a symphony of biological processes that unfolds with astonishing precision across every 24-hour period of your life. Right now, as you listen to these words, this master clock is sending signals throughout your body, coordinating everything from your body temperature to your hormone levels, from your digestive rhythm to the very moment you'll feel sleepy tonight. Understanding this internal timekeeper isn't just fascinating science. It's the foundation of optimal health, peak mental performance, and the kind of restorative sleep that transforms how you experience every waking moment. The ancient clock within. The story of our circadian rhythm begins not in a laboratory, but in the garden of a French astronomer named Jean-Jacques d'Ortu de Méran in 1729. He noticed something peculiar about his mimosa plants. Even when he placed them in complete darkness, shuttered away from any hint of sunlight, the leaves continued their daily dance, opening with the morning and closing at night, as if they could somehow sense time itself. This observation, simple yet profound, revealed a truth that would reshape our understanding of biology. Living organisms don't merely react to the cycles of day and night, they anticipate them. They possess an internal mechanism, a biological clock that runs independently of external cues, keeping time with remarkable accuracy, even in the absence of the sun itself. Your circadian rhythm represents the manifestation of this intricate timekeeping system. The suprachiasmatic nucleus, situated in the hypothalamus, just above where your optic nerves cross, serves as your body's master pacemaker. These 10,000 neurons fire in coordinated patterns throughout the day, their electrical activity waxing and waning in a rhythm that repeats approximately every 24 hours. Research has demonstrated that even when these cells are isolated in laboratory dishes, removed entirely from the body, they continue to oscillate in this 24-hour pattern, each neuron maintaining its own autonomous clock, while somehow remaining synchronized with its neighbors. The molecular machinery underlying this remarkable timekeeping involves several core clock genes, BMAL1, CLOCK, PER, and CRY, among others, that engage in an intricate dance of transcription and translation. During the day, clock and BMAL1 proteins bind together and activate the genes for PR and CRY proteins. As these PR and CRY proteins accumulate throughout the day, they eventually enter the cell nucleus and inhibit clock and BMAL1, shutting down their own production. This creates a negative feedback loop that takes approximately 24 hours to complete, forming the molecular foundation of your circadian rhythm. It's a self-sustaining cycle, a biological pendulum that swings back and forth with metronomic precision. What makes this system even more extraordinary is its ubiquity. While the suprachiasmatic nucleus serves as the master conductor, peripheral clocks exist throughout your body. Your liver has a clock. Your heart has a clock. Your muscles, your kidneys, your skin. Each contains populations of cells running their own circadian oscillators. Recent research has revealed that up to 80% of your protein-coding genes express rhythmic patterns throughout the 24-hour cycle. This means that vast swaths of your cellular machinery operate on schedules, with different biochemical processes ramping up or down depending on the time of day. Your body doesn't function as a simple on-off switch between wakefulness and sleep, but rather as an immensely complex temporal organization where thousands of processes are choreographed to occur at precisely the right moment. The natural free-running period of the human circadian rhythm, the cycle length it would maintain in the complete absence of time cues, averages around 24 hours and 11 minutes, remarkably close to Earth's rotational period. This value, determined through studies where volunteers lived in underground bunkers without any access to clocks, daylight, or other temporal information, reveals the exquisite calibration of our internal timekeeping to the planet's daily cycle. Interestingly, individual variation exists. Some people have slightly longer circadian periods, around 24.5 hours, while others run slightly faster, closer to 23.5 hours. These differences help explain why some individuals naturally gravitate toward being night owls, while others are morning larks, preferences that emerge from the fundamental period of their biological clocks. Women's circadian rhythms tend to run slightly shorter than men's, with an average period of about 24 hours and 5 minutes compared to 24 hours and 11 minutes in men. This small difference may contribute to women's greater tendency toward morning preference and their increased vulnerability to certain circadian rhythm disorders. The precision of these measurements underscores a fascinating reality. Your body doesn't just roughly approximate a 24-hour cycle. It tracks time with extraordinary accuracy, maintaining synchrony with Earth's rotation through constant adjustments and fine-tuning. The suprachiasmatic nucleus doesn't work in isolation. It maintains connections with numerous other brain regions, sending neural and hormonal signals that propagate the circadian message throughout your nervous system and body. Projections extend to the pineal gland, which produces melatonin, to brain regions controlling appetite and metabolism, to areas regulating body temperature, and to the autonomic nervous system, which governs unconscious functions like heart rate and digestion. Through these extensive connections, the master clock ensures that all the subsidiary oscillators throughout your body remain synchronized, operating in harmony rather than chaos. When this synchronization breaks down, through shift work, jet lag, or irregular sleep schedules, the consequences ripple through every system, manifesting as everything from digestive problems to mood disturbances to increased disease risk. The circadian system's influence extends far beyond simple sleep-wake cycles. Research has documented robust daily rhythms in immune function, with certain immune cells showing peak activity at specific times of day. Your body repairs DNA most efficiently during certain hours. Cell division follows circadian patterns, with most cellular reproduction occurring during specific phases of the daily cycle. Even your pain threshold varies with circadian phase. The same stimulus that feels tolerable in the afternoon might seem excruciating in the early morning hours. Blood pressure rises and falls according to circadian schedules. Cardiovascular events like heart attacks and strokes show pronounced circadian distributions occurring most frequently during certain windows of the day when multiple factors, blood pressure surges, increased blood clotting tendency, and other circadian regulated processes converge to create vulnerability. This temporal organization represents what appears to be a fundamental principle of biological efficiency. By scheduling different processes for different times of day, your body avoids conflicts and optimizes resource allocation. Digestive processes ramp up when you're likely to be eating. Tissue repair accelerates during sleep when energy isn't needed for movement and mental activity. The circadian system essentially provides your body with the ability to anticipate and prepare for predictable daily challenges rather than merely reacting to them. This anticipatory capacity offers substantial advantages for maintaining health and function. Light, darkness, and the master timekeeper. Every morning, a remarkable transformation unfolds in your eyes, one that has profound implications for your brain's understanding of time. When light strikes your retina, it doesn't merely enable vision, it triggers a sophisticated signaling cascade that resets your biological clock, synchronizing your internal rhythms with the external world. The key players in this daily reset are specialized retinal ganglion cells containing a photopigment called melanopsin. Unlike the rods and cones that create visual images, These intrinsically photosensitive retinal ganglion cells serve a different purpose. They measure ambient light levels and communicate this information directly to the suprachiasmatic nucleus through a dedicated neural pathway called the retinohypothalamic tract. Melanopsin responds most strongly to blue wavelengths of light, with peak sensitivity around 480 nanometers, the wavelength that dominates the sky during dawn and dusk. When blue light hits these melanopsin-containing cells, they send strong signals to the suprachiasmatic nucleus, conveying the message that daytime has arrived and circadian processes should adjust accordingly. The power of light to influence your circadian rhythm depends on several factors: timing, intensity, wavelength, and duration. Morning light exposure, particularly in the first hour after waking, exerts the strongest influence on circadian phase. Bright light encountered during this window helps anchor your circadian rhythm, promoting earlier sleep onset that evening and enhanced alertness during the day. Even relatively brief exposure, around 30 minutes of outdoor morning light, can provide substantial benefits. The intensity of indoor lighting, typically around 100 to 500 lux, pales in comparison to outdoor light, which ranges from 10,000 lux on an overcast day to 100,000 lux in direct sunlight. This dramatic difference explains why indoor lifestyles, disconnected from natural light cycles, can lead to circadian disruption. Blue light's circadian effects become problematic when encountered at the wrong time of day. Evening exposure to blue wavelengths, precisely what modern LED screens emit in abundance, sends a confounding signal to your brain. It's still daytime. Delay sleep preparation. Research has consistently demonstrated that evening screen use suppresses melatonin production, the hormone that promotes sleepiness. Studies comparing blue light exposure to other wavelengths have found that blue light can suppress melatonin for approximately twice as long as green light, and can shift circadian phase by about 3 hours, compared to 1.5 hours for green light of comparable brightness. Even relatively dim light, as low as 8 lux, roughly the brightness of a nightlight, can affect circadian rhythms and melatonin secretion in sensitive individuals. The ubiquity of LED lighting and electronic devices has fundamentally altered humanity's light environment. Before the advent of electric lighting, humans experienced distinct light-dark cycles: bright blue-rich daylight, followed by darkness punctuated only by firelight, which contains minimal blue wavelengths. This natural light pattern provided clear circadian signals: daylight for activity, darkness for sleep. Modern life has blurred these boundaries. We spend our days largely indoors under relatively dim lighting, then expose ourselves to bright blue-enriched light from screens during the evening hours, when our circadian systems expect darkness. This misalignment between our biological design and our actual light exposure patterns contributes significantly to the epidemic of sleep problems in industrialized societies. The mechanism by which light exposure suppresses melatonin involves multiple steps. Light signals traveling from melanopsin-containing retinal cells reach the suprachiasmatic nucleus, which then sends inhibitory signals to the pineal gland via a multisynaptic pathway involving the superior cervical ganglia. During daylight hours, these inhibitory signals actively suppress melatonin production. As darkness falls and light no longer stimulates the retina, this inhibitory signal diminishes, allowing the pineal gland to begin producing and secreting melatonin. The enzyme arylalkylamine N-acetyltransferase, which converts serotonin to melatonin's immediate precursor, becomes active in response to this release from inhibition, ramping up melatonin synthesis. Evening light exposure interrupts this carefully timed process, maintaining inhibition when it should be lifting. Importantly, recent research has nuanced our understanding of blue light's effects. While melanopsin sensitivity to blue light is well established, studies suggest that overall brightness may matter more than color for circadian effects. A 2023 study found limited evidence that blue versus yellow light of matched brightness produced different circadian phase shifts. The researchers suggested that in practical terms, reducing overall light exposure in the evening, regardless of color, represents the most effective strategy for maintaining circadian health. Bright yellow or white light can disrupt circadian rhythms just as effectively as bright blue light if the intensity is sufficient. This finding shifts the focus from solely blue light blocking to broader light hygiene, dimming lights in the evening hours and avoiding bright screens before bedtime. The therapeutic applications of light for circadian disorders have gained increasing attention. Bright light therapy, typically involving exposure to light boxes emitting 10,000 lux for 30 minutes to an hour, has proven effective for treating seasonal affective disorder, delayed sleep phase syndrome, and other circadian rhythm disorders. The timing of light exposure determines its effect. Morning light shifts circadian phase earlier, promoting earlier sleep and wake times, while evening light delays circadian phase, pushing sleep and wake times later. This knowledge allows targeted interventions for circadian misalignment. Travelers can use timed light exposure to accelerate adaptation to new time zones. Shift workers can employ strategic light and darkness patterns to help their circadian systems adjust to unconventional schedules. The development of human civilization has been fundamentally shaped by our relationship with light and darkness. For most of human history, our daily rhythms closely tracked the solar cycle, rising with dawn, sleeping after sunset. The invention of artificial lighting, beginning with candles and oil lamps but accelerating dramatically with gas lighting and then electric lighting, progressively extended our waking hours into the night. While this extension brought enormous benefits, increased productivity, more time for social and cultural activities, it came at a cost. We gained control over our light environment, but lost the clear circadian signals that had guided human biology for thousands of years. Understanding light's profound influence on the circadian system provides the knowledge needed to navigate this modern lighting landscape while maintaining the circadian health essential for optimal functioning. Red light, in contrast to blue wavelengths, has minimal impact on circadian rhythms or melatonin suppression. This wavelength distinction has practical applications. Using dim red lights for nighttime illumination, such as night lights or reading lights, allows necessary visibility without disrupting circadian signals. Some individuals have adopted the practice of wearing blue light-blocking glasses in the evening hours, typically amber-tinted lenses that filter out short wavelengths while allowing other colors through. While research on their effectiveness remains mixed, the underlying principle is sound. Reducing blue light exposure in the hours before bedtime may help preserve natural melatonin rhythms. However, the most powerful intervention remains simple: dimming all lights in the evening and avoiding bright screens in the 2 to 3 hours before intended sleep time. The hormone of darkness, melatonin's story. In 1958, dermatologist Aaron Lerner and his colleagues at Yale University achieved something remarkable. After extracting and processing material from thousands of bovine pineal glands, they isolated a previously unknown hormone that could lighten the skin of frogs. They named it melatonin, derived from its apparent skin-lightening properties. Little did they realize that this molecule would prove central to understanding human sleep and circadian biology. Melatonin, it turns out, serves as one of the primary chemical messengers through which the circadian system communicates time-of-day information throughout the body, earning it the evocative nickname, the hormone of darkness. The pineal gland, a small pine cone-shaped structure deep within your brain, produces melatonin from the neurotransmitter serotonin through a two-step enzymatic process. The rate-limiting enzyme, the one that controls the overall speed of melatonin production, is arylalkylamine N-acetyltransferase. During darkness, when the suprachiasmatic nucleus releases its inhibitory signal on the pineal gland, this enzyme's activity surges dramatically, often increasing more than 100-fold, converting available serotonin into melatonin. Once synthesized, melatonin doesn't accumulate in the pineal gland. Instead, it diffuses directly into both the cerebrospinal fluid and the bloodstream, making it available to tissues throughout the body. Melatonin's temporal pattern follows a characteristic profile. In individuals with regular sleep schedules, melatonin levels begin rising approximately 2 hours before habitual bedtime, a phenomenon called dim light melatonin onset. This initial surge occurs even under dim lighting conditions and represents one of the most reliable markers of circadian phase. Scientists use it to determine where someone is in their daily cycle. Melatonin concentrations continue climbing through the early sleep period, typically peaking between 2 and 4 in the morning at levels around 80 to 120 picograms per milliliter. As dawn approaches, melatonin production rapidly diminishes, and by the time you wake in the morning, levels have dropped to nearly undetectable daytime levels of 10 to 20 picograms per milliliter. This steep decline in melatonin, coinciding with rising body temperature and increasing cortisol levels, contributes to the transition from sleep to wakefulness. The metabolic fate of melatonin is swift. The hormone has a biological half-life of only 30 to 40 minutes, meaning that half of the melatonin present in your bloodstream at any moment disappears within this brief window. The liver metabolizes melatonin into 6-hydroxymelatonin, which is then conjugated with sulfate and excreted in urine. This rapid clearance means that melatonin signals need continuous production to be maintained. The pineal gland must keep synthesizing and secreting melatonin throughout the night to sustain its effects. It also means that when light exposure inhibits melatonin production, levels can drop quickly, which explains why turning on bright lights in the middle of the night can promote wakefulness so effectively. Melatonin's effects on sleep and circadian rhythms operate through two distinct mechanisms. First, it has acute soporific effects. It directly promotes sleepiness. Melatonin receptors in the suprachiasmatic nucleus, when activated by rising melatonin levels, inhibit the activity of these arousal-promoting neurons, facilitating the transition to sleep. Second, melatonin serves as a chronobiotic, a time cue that helps synchronize circadian rhythms. Even in the absence of light-dark cycles, such as in totally blind individuals, regular melatonin administration can help entrain circadian rhythms to a 24-hour cycle. This dual action makes melatonin a powerful regulator of sleep timing. It both makes you feel sleepy when it rises and helps anchor your circadian rhythm to ensure this sleepiness occurs at the appropriate time each day. The melatonin system undergoes significant changes across the human lifespan. Newborn infants don't produce meaningful amounts of melatonin. They receive it from the mother during pregnancy via placental transfer. Around 3 months of age, babies begin synthesizing their own melatonin, and the establishment of regular melatonin rhythms coincides with the development of consolidated nighttime sleep. Melatonin production actually peaks during childhood before puberty, with prepubertal children producing the highest nocturnal melatonin levels of any age group. After puberty, melatonin production begins a gradual, progressive decline that continues throughout life. By age 80, nighttime melatonin levels may be less than 1/3 of young adult levels, a reduction that correlates with the increased sleep difficulties common in elderly populations. This age-related decline in melatonin has sparked considerable interest in melatonin supplementation for older adults with insomnia. The hypothesis, sometimes called the melatonin replacement hypothesis, suggests that declining endogenous melatonin production contributes to age-related sleep problems, and that supplementing with exogenous melatonin might restore more youthful sleep patterns. Research results have been mixed, but meta-analyses suggest modest benefits. Melatonin supplementation can reduce sleep onset latency, the time it takes to fall asleep, by an average of 7 to 12 minutes, and can improve sleep quality ratings. While not a dramatic effect, for some individuals, particularly those with confirmed low melatonin levels, supplementation provides meaningful benefit. Prolonged-release melatonin formulations designed to mimic the body's natural sustained melatonin secretion throughout the night have shown particular promise for maintaining sleep in older adults. Melatonin's influence extends beyond simple sleep promotion. It functions as a potent antioxidant, directly neutralizing reactive oxygen species and reactive nitrogen species that can damage cells. Unlike other antioxidants that work primarily in either aqueous or lipid environments, melatonin's chemical structure allows it to function effectively in both, and its small size enables it to cross cell membranes easily, providing antioxidant protection throughout the cell. Melatonin also supports immune function, with immune cells possessing melatonin receptors and melatonin production influencing various aspects of immune response. Some research suggests anti-inflammatory effects and possible roles in regulating seasonal breeding patterns in many mammals, though these functions appear less prominent in humans. Females typically produce higher melatonin levels than males, a difference that emerges after puberty and persists throughout reproductive years. The functional significance of this sex difference remains incompletely understood, though it may relate to the documented connection between melatonin and reproductive hormones. Melatonin influences the menstrual cycle and may play roles in fertility, though the exact mechanisms remain under investigation. Importantly, pregnant women and nursing mothers should consult healthcare providers before using melatonin supplements, as melatonin crosses the placenta and appears in breast milk, potentially affecting fetal and infant circadian development. The use of exogenous melatonin supplements has exploded in recent years. Approximately 27% of American adults now take melatonin to support sleep, and usage among children and adolescents has increased dramatically as well. However, the supplement market presents significant quality control challenges. Studies testing over-the-counter melatonin products have found alarming variability. Some products contained less than 20% of the labeled melatonin dose, while others contained more than 400%. Some products included serotonin, which shouldn't be present at all, while others contained other undeclared substances. This inconsistency makes it difficult for consumers to know what dose they're actually receiving, and highlights the importance of selecting melatonin supplements from reputable manufacturers that employ third-party testing. The optimal timing and dosing of melatonin supplementation depends on the intended purpose. For simple sleep promotion, taking melatonin 30 minutes to 2 hours before desired bedtime allows time for absorption and effect. The effective dose varies considerably between individuals, with studies using everything from 0.3 milligrams to 10 milligrams. Interestingly, lower doses, in the range of 0.3 to 1 milligram, may more closely mimic physiological melatonin levels and might prove just as effective as higher doses for many people. For circadian rhythm shifting, such as when dealing with jet lag or delayed sleep phase syndrome, the timing of melatonin administration relative to the circadian rhythm becomes critical. Taking melatonin in the evening can help shift circadian phase earlier, while taking it in the morning may delay circadian phase. Understanding these timing-dependent effects allows more sophisticated use of melatonin as a circadian tool. The architecture of sleep. When you drift off to sleep each night, you embark on a journey through a precisely choreographed sequence of brain states, each serving distinct functions in maintaining your mental and physical health. Sleep is not a unitary state of unconsciousness, but rather a dynamic progression through different stages, each characterized by unique patterns of brain activity, eye movements, and muscle tone. Modern sleep science, using polysomnography, simultaneous recording of brain waves, eye movements, and muscle activity, has revealed the intricate architecture underlying what seems like simple rest. Sleep consists of two fundamentally different types: non-rapid eye movement sleep, abbreviated NREM, and rapid eye movement sleep, known as REM. NREM sleep is further divided into 3 stages, originally numbered 1 through 3, after researchers combined the former stages 3 and 4 into a single stage. A complete sleep cycle, progression through NREM stages, and a REM period takes approximately 90 to 120 minutes. Most people complete 4 to 6 such cycles during a full night of sleep, though the composition of these cycles changes as the night progresses, with deep NREM sleep dominating the early night, and REM sleep becoming more prominent in the later cycles. Stage 1 of NREM sleep represents the transition between wakefulness and sleep, lasting only a few minutes under normal circumstances. Brain waves begin to slow from the rapid beta waves of wakefulness to the gentler alpha and theta waves. Your eyes may move slowly beneath closed lids, and your muscles relax, though you can still be easily awakened. If roused from stage 1 sleep, You might not even realize you had been asleep. It feels more like drowsing, that pleasant state between waking and sleeping. This stage serves as the gateway to deeper sleep states. And throughout the night, you'll pass through stage 1 multiple times as you cycle between different sleep stages. Stage 2. NREM sleep constitutes the largest portion of your total sleep time, approximately 45 to 50% in adults. Brain activity continues to slow, though this slower baseline is punctuated by distinctive brief bursts of brain activity called sleep spindles and K-complexes. Sleep spindles appear as rapid oscillations in brain electrical activity, lasting about half a second to 2 seconds. They occur roughly every few seconds during stage 2 sleep, and are thought to play crucial roles in memory consolidation, particularly the transfer of information from short-term to long-term memory storage. K-complexes appearing as sharp negative deflections followed by positive components in brainwave recordings may represent the brain's way of staying asleep. Despite environmental disturbances, they often occur in response to external stimuli that aren't quite strong enough to cause awakening. During stage 2, your heart rate slows, your body temperature drops, and your muscles relax further. Stage 3 NREM sleep, often called slow-wave sleep or deep sleep, represents the most restorative sleep stage. Brain waves slow dramatically to the high-amplitude, low-frequency delta waves that define this stage. Powerful, synchronous oscillations sweeping across the cortex. Deep sleep occurs primarily in the first half of the night, with the longest and most intense periods of stage 3 sleep occurring in the first 1 to 2 sleep cycles. As the night progresses, stage 3 sleep becomes briefer and may disappear entirely from later sleep cycles. Adults typically spend about 20 to 25% of total sleep time in stage 3. Though this proportion decreases with age. Elderly individuals may have very little deep sleep or none at all during some nights. The restorative functions of deep sleep extend throughout body and brain. During stage 3 sleep, your body releases growth hormone, essential for tissue repair, muscle growth, and overall physical recovery. The immune system ramps up its activity. Studies have shown that vaccination responses are stronger in well-rested individuals, and deep sleep appears particularly important for immune function. Blood pressure drops, giving your cardiovascular system a period of reduced demand. Most remarkably, recent research has revealed that the brain's glymphatic system, a waste clearance mechanism, functions most efficiently during deep sleep. This system flushes out metabolic waste products, including beta-amyloid proteins that accumulate and form plaques in Alzheimer's disease. Inadequate deep sleep may therefore contribute to long-term cognitive decline by allowing these toxic proteins to accumulate rather than being efficiently cleared. Awakening someone from deep sleep proves difficult. They may need loud sounds or vigorous shaking. And if awakened, they experience sleep inertia, a state of grogginess and disorientation lasting 20 to 30 minutes. The brain seems reluctant to transition out of this intensely restorative state, and forcing the transition before it occurs naturally leaves you feeling foggy and impaired. This explains why being woken by an alarm during deep sleep feels particularly unpleasant, and why you might feel worse than if you'd slept less, but awakened naturally from a lighter sleep stage. REM sleep presents a fascinating paradox. Your brain becomes highly active, resembling waking brain activity patterns, while your body experiences profound muscle paralysis. The rapid eye movements that give this stage its name occur as your eyes dart back and forth beneath closed lids, tracking the dream imagery you're experiencing. REM sleep makes up approximately 20 to 25% of total sleep time in adults, occurring in episodes that grow progressively longer as the night advances. Your first REM period might last only 5 to 10 minutes, while REM periods in the final hours of sleep can extend to an hour or more. The brain activity during REM sleep shows increased activation of limbic regions involved in emotion and memory, while activity in the prefrontal cortex, responsible for logical reasoning and behavioral inhibition, remains relatively suppressed. This pattern may explain the bizarre, emotionally charged, and often illogical nature of dreams. The temporary paralysis of skeletal muscles during REM, called REM atonia, prevents you from acting out your dreams, a protective mechanism that occasionally fails in REM sleep behavior disorder, where affected individuals physically enact their dreams, sometimes with dangerous consequences. Your breathing becomes irregular during REM sleep. Your heart rate and blood pressure fluctuate, and brief episodes of breathing cessation are normal. REM sleep appears crucial for several cognitive functions. Memory consolidation, particularly for procedural memories, learning how to perform skills and tasks, depends heavily on REM sleep. Emotional processing and regulation also rely on REM sleep, with studies showing that REM deprivation can impair the ability to read emotional expressions and can intensify emotional reactivity. Creativity and problem-solving may benefit from REM sleep's unique brain state, which could form novel connections between disparate concepts. The famous examples of scientific and artistic breakthroughs occurring after sleep: Auguste Kekulé's dream of the benzene ring structure, Paul McCartney's dream-inspired melody for Yesterday, suggest that REM sleep might contribute to creative insight. Sleep cycles follow a predictable pattern, but with important variations as the night progresses. Early cycles contain substantial amounts of deep NREM sleep and relatively brief REM periods. As the night continues, deep sleep diminishes while REM periods lengthen. By the final sleep cycles before morning awakening, you may cycle between stage 2 NREM and extended REM periods with little or no deep sleep. This changing composition means that cutting sleep short by even an hour or two disproportionately affects REM sleep. You lose mostly REM-rich late-night sleep, potentially impacting the cognitive and emotional benefits this stage provides. The amount of time spent in each sleep stage varies considerably across the lifespan. Newborns spend approximately 50% of their sleep time in REM sleep, entering REM immediately upon falling asleep, rather than cycling through NREM stages first. As infants mature, their sleep architecture gradually shifts toward the adult pattern, with less REM sleep and the development of clear NREM stages. Sleep cycles in infants and young children are shorter than adult cycles, around 50 to 60 minutes compared to 90 to 120 minutes. Teenagers experience a shift in sleep timing, a delay in circadian phase that makes them naturally inclined to later bedtimes and wake times, along with high sleep needs, typically 9 to 10 hours per night, though they rarely obtain this amount. Elderly individuals experience reduced deep sleep, more frequent awakenings, and often earlier circadian timing, contributing to the stereotypical pattern of older adults going to bed early and waking early. Individual differences in sleep architecture can be substantial. Some people are naturally long sleepers, requiring 9 or 10 hours to feel rested, while short sleepers feel fully restored after 6 hours. These variations reflect genuine differences in sleep need rather than simple preference or habit. They appear to have genetic components and remain relatively stable throughout adult life. The balance between NREM and REM sleep can also vary. Some individuals naturally have more deep sleep, while others have more REM sleep, differences that may relate to genetic factors and may influence optimal sleep duration for different people. Temperature, timing, and the body's thermostat. Your body temperature is not the steady 37 degrees Celsius that we are taught represents normal. Instead, it fluctuates continuously throughout the day, cycling through a range of approximately 1 degree Celsius in a rhythm controlled by your circadian system and intimately connected to your sleep-wake cycle. Understanding this temperature rhythm reveals another layer of the circadian system's influence on your daily life and provides practical insights for optimizing sleep and alertness. The circadian rhythm of body temperature follows a characteristic pattern. Your core temperature reaches its lowest point in the early morning hours, typically around 4 to 6 a.m., about 2 to 3 hours before your usual wake time. This temperature nadir, often called the temperature minimum, represents the point of maximum circadian drive for sleep. If you're awake at this time, you'll likely feel intensely sleepy. Following this low point, body temperature begins rising, continuing to climb through the morning and afternoon. The peak occurs in the late afternoon or early evening, typically between 5 and 7 p.m., when core temperature may be 1 degree Celsius higher than the early morning minimum. After this peak, temperature begins declining again, falling through the evening hours as you approach bedtime. This temperature cycle doesn't merely correlate with sleep-wake patterns, it actively participates in regulating them. The evening decline in core body temperature is one of the physiological signals that promotes sleepiness. As your temperature drops, you feel increasingly drowsy. This isn't coincidental, but rather a direct effect of decreasing temperature on brain regions controlling arousal. The morning rise in temperature, conversely, contributes to awakening and increasing alertness. Studies have found that people report peak subjective alertness when their body temperature is highest and peak sleepiness when it's lowest, even if they've been awake for the same duration. The circadian system uses temperature as a signal to coordinate not just sleep-wake behavior, but numerous other daily rhythms. The mechanism underlying the temperature rhythm involves active regulation by the hypothalamus, which controls thermoregulation. The suprachiasmatic nucleus sends signals to the preoptic area, another hypothalamic region that serves as the body's thermostat. These signals adjust the temperature set point, the target temperature the body tries to maintain, causing it to rise during the day and fall at night. The body achieves these temperature changes through multiple mechanisms, altering metabolic heat production, adjusting blood flow to the skin to increase or decrease heat loss, and modifying behavioral responses to temperature. Interestingly, skin temperature follows a pattern opposite to core temperature. As core temperature falls in preparation for sleep, skin temperature rises as blood vessels in the extremities dilate, allowing heat to dissipate from the core to the environment. This inverse relationship between core and skin temperature appears to have practical implications. The dilation of blood vessels in hands and feet before sleep, increasing skin temperature in these areas, seems to facilitate the drop in core temperature that promotes sleep onset. Studies have found that warming the hands and feet through warming socks, for instance, can accelerate sleep onset by promoting heat loss from the core. The correlation between high distal skin temperature and sleep propensity is so robust that researchers can use skin temperature measurements to predict when someone is about to fall asleep. Conversely, cold hands and feet, caused by constricted blood vessels that prevent heat loss, can interfere with sleep onset, possibly by preventing the core temperature decline that signals the brain it's time for sleep. Room temperature significantly impacts sleep quality through its effects on body temperature regulation. Research consistently demonstrates that cool room temperatures promote better sleep than warm environments. The optimal bedroom temperature for sleep falls around 18 to 19 degrees Celsius, or 65 to 67 degrees Fahrenheit. This might feel quite cool when you're awake and active, but during sleep, when you're under blankets and your metabolic rate is lower, it provides ideal conditions for maintaining the reduced core temperature that characterizes good sleep. Temperatures above 24 degrees Celsius or below 12 degrees Celsius can disrupt sleep by making thermoregulation difficult. Heat exposure during sleep, whether from high room temperature, excessive bedding, or high humidity, can significantly impair sleep quality. Heat makes it harder for the body to achieve and maintain the lowered core temperature characteristic of sleep. And studies show that warm sleep environments increase wakefulness and decrease both slow-wave sleep and REM sleep. You spend more time in lighter sleep stages and awaken more frequently. Humid heat proves even more problematic because high humidity impairs evaporative cooling through sweating. The body's primary mechanism for shedding excess heat when environmental temperature is high. This explains why sleeping in hot, humid conditions feels particularly uncomfortable and results in especially poor sleep quality. Cold exposure produces different effects depending on how you're dressed. Studies in semi-nude subjects show that cold disrupts sleep, increasing wakefulness and reducing deep sleep and REM sleep as the body struggles to maintain adequate temperature. However, in real-world situations where people use appropriate bedding and clothing, moderate cold doesn't significantly disrupt sleep. The bedding provides sufficient insulation to maintain comfortable skin temperature, even when the room is cool. In fact, slightly cool rooms combined with warm bedding may provide optimal conditions. The cool air helps maintain lower core temperature, while the bedding ensures comfort and prevents cold stress. The body temperature rhythm, being controlled by the circadian system, shifts in response to the same cues that shift circadian phase. Bright light exposure can alter the timing of your temperature rhythm, and this shift in temperature timing contributes to the circadian phase shift produced by light. The temperature rhythm has been used as a reliable marker of circadian phase in research settings. Measuring when core temperature reaches its minimum provides accurate information about where someone is in their circadian cycle. This measurement has advantages over other circadian markers because temperature can be monitored continuously and doesn't require repeated blood sampling, though it does require careful control of activity, food intake, and environmental temperature, which can influence readings. Temperature cycles also serve as synchronizing signals for peripheral clocks throughout the body. Research has demonstrated that peripheral tissues and organs can be entrained by temperature cycles even in the absence of other time cues. In laboratory studies, cultured cells and tissues exposed to rhythmic temperature changes, simulating body temperature fluctuations, develop synchronized circadian oscillations in clock gene expression. This means temperature serves as a feedback mechanism. The central circadian clock controls body temperature rhythms, and these temperature rhythms, in turn, help synchronize peripheral clocks. It's a circular relationship that reinforces circadian organization throughout the body. Fever disrupts this normal temperature rhythm. During illness, the hypothalamic set point is reset higher, often eliminating or greatly reducing the circadian variation in temperature. The body maintains an elevated temperature around the clock rather than cycling between high and low values. This disruption of temperature rhythm, along with other illness-induced changes in sleep-wake behavior, could contribute to the profound fatigue and altered sleep patterns characteristic of acute illness. Some researchers suggest that the temperature elevation during fever might help fight infection, as many immune processes function more efficiently at slightly elevated temperatures, though this continues to be investigated. Now, when the clock breaks, sleep deprivation and health. In our modern 24/7 society, sleep has become an optional luxury rather than a biological necessity. Or so many people seem to believe as they sacrifice hours of rest to work, entertainment, or endless scrolling through social media. The reality is far different and considerably more concerning. Sleep deprivation, whether acute total sleep loss or chronic partial sleep restriction, produces profound and far-reaching consequences for cognitive function, mental health, physical health, and overall quality of life. Understanding these effects isn't mere academic interest. It's essential knowledge for anyone hoping to function at their best and maintain long-term health. Sleep deprivation research distinguishes between total sleep deprivation, staying awake for an entire night or longer, and partial sleep restriction, getting some sleep but less than needed, such as sleeping 5 or 6 hours per night when you require 8. While total sleep deprivation is easier to study in laboratory settings and produces dramatic effects, partial sleep restriction is far more common in everyday life and may be more insidious precisely because its effects accumulate gradually. Someone who gets an hour or 2 less sleep than needed each night may not notice the impairment after 1 or 2 nights, but after a week or 2, cognitive function degrades substantially, even though the person may not fully recognize the extent of their impairment. The cognitive effects of sleep deprivation are extensive and well documented. Attention, particularly sustained attention, the ability to maintain focus on a task over extended periods, deteriorates markedly with sleep loss. Vigilance tasks, where you must monitor for infrequent signals and respond appropriately, show particular vulnerability. Reaction times slow and lapses, brief episodes where you simply don't respond at all, increase dramatically. These lapses can have catastrophic consequences when they occur while driving, operating machinery, or performing other tasks where momentary inattention can prove deadly. Studies of simulated driving after sleep deprivation show impairment comparable to or exceeding that produced by alcohol intoxication at the legal limit. Working memory, the cognitive system that holds information temporarily while you manipulate and process it, suffers under sleep deprivation. Tasks requiring you to remember information while simultaneously performing mental operations, such as mental arithmetic, following complex instructions, or integrating multiple pieces of information to make decisions, become increasingly difficult. The capacity to hold information in mind diminishes, and the speed and accuracy of mental operations decline. Research shows that after just one night of total sleep deprivation, working memory performance can decline by 20 to 30%. With chronic partial sleep restriction, the deficit accumulates, with people sleeping 6 hours per night for 2 weeks, showing cognitive impairments equivalent to 2 full nights of total sleep deprivation. Long-term memory formation depends critically on sleep. The consolidation of new memories, the process by which temporary memory traces become stable, lasting memories, occurs predominantly during sleep, with different sleep stages contributing to different types of memory. Declarative memories, memories for facts, events, and experiences, benefit particularly from slow-wave sleep, while procedural memories, memories for skills and procedures, depend heavily on REM sleep. When you're sleep-deprived, not only does memory consolidation suffer, but you're also more likely to form false memories. Studies have shown that sleep-deprived individuals are more likely to remember events that didn't actually occur, particularly when the false information seems plausible. This has obvious implications for eyewitness testimony, medical decision-making, and any situation requiring accurate recall. Executive functions, the high-level cognitive abilities that allow us to plan, make decisions, solve problems, and exert cognitive control, are particularly vulnerable to sleep deprivation. Decision-making becomes more impulsive and more variable, with increased willingness to take risks. The ability to generate creative solutions to problems declines. Cognitive flexibility, the capacity to shift between different concepts or perspectives, deteriorates. Planning and organizational abilities suffer. These effects combine to impair performance on complex, real-world tasks that require coordinating multiple cognitive processes. Healthcare workers after night shifts make more medical errors. Pilots, truck drivers, and train operators after sleep restriction show increased accident risk. Students suffering chronic partial sleep restriction earn lower grades despite spending more time studying. The cognitive impairment from sleep loss more than offsets the extra study time gained. The emotional and psychological consequences of sleep deprivation extend beyond simple irritability. Mood regulation becomes impaired, with increased negative affect, reduced positive affect, and greater emotional reactivity to stressors. Sleep-deprived individuals show heightened amygdala responses to negative emotional stimuli and reduced prefrontal cortex regulation of these emotional responses, a pattern similar to that seen in anxiety and mood disorders. Not surprisingly, chronic sleep restriction increases the risk of developing depression and anxiety disorders. The relationship is bidirectional. Depression and anxiety disrupt sleep, while poor sleep exacerbates psychiatric symptoms, creating a vicious cycle that can be difficult to break without addressing both sleep and mental health. At the neural level, sleep deprivation produces measurable changes in brain structure and function. Neuroimaging studies show that even short-term sleep restriction can reduce gray matter volume in prefrontal cortex regions, and chronic sleep loss is associated with smaller hippocampal volumes. The hippocampus, crucial for memory formation, appears particularly vulnerable to sleep deprivation's effects. Functional brain imaging reveals altered activity patterns in sleep-deprived brains, reduced activity in attention networks, increased activity in reward processing regions that may drive impulsive behavior, and disrupted connectivity between brain regions that normally work together. The glymphatic system, discovered relatively recently, provides a potential mechanism that could link sleep deprivation to long-term brain health. This waste clearance system appears to function primarily during sleep, particularly during slow-wave sleep, flushing toxic metabolic byproducts from the brain. One of these waste products is beta amyloid, the protein that accumulates and forms plaques in Alzheimer's disease. Studies have shown that even a single night of sleep deprivation increases beta amyloid levels in the brain, detected through PET imaging. Based on what we know, chronic sleep restriction, by reducing the time available for glymphatic clearance, could potentially allow progressive accumulation of these toxic proteins over years and decades, which might contribute to increased Alzheimer's risk. Epidemiological studies have found that people with chronic sleep problems show increased rates of cognitive decline and dementia in later life, supporting this possibility. The physical health consequences of chronic sleep restriction are equally troubling. Sleep deprivation disrupts metabolism, causing changes that resemble prediabetes. Even one night of total sleep deprivation can impair insulin sensitivity and glucose tolerance. Chronic short sleep, consistently getting less than 7 hours per night, is associated with increased obesity risk, with studies showing that sleep-restricted individuals have elevated levels of ghrelin, a hormone that stimulates appetite, and reduced levels of leptin, a hormone that signals satiety. These hormonal changes promote overeating and weight gain. The disruption of circadian rhythms and sleep that occurs with shift work has been classified as a probable carcinogen by the International Agency for Research on Cancer, based on epidemiological evidence showing increased cancer rates, particularly breast and colorectal cancers, in long-term shift workers. Cardiovascular effects of sleep deprivation include elevated blood pressure, increased inflammation, and disrupted autonomic nervous system balance, with chronic sleep restriction showing associations with increased risk of hypertension, heart attack, and stroke. The immune system becomes less effective with sleep loss, increasing susceptibility to infections. Studies have demonstrated that people who are sleep-deprived before receiving vaccinations develop weaker immune responses, showing reduced antibody production. During actual infections, sleep-deprived individuals experience longer illness duration and more severe symptoms compared to well-rested counterparts. Children and adolescents may be particularly vulnerable to sleep deprivation's effects. Brain development continues through adolescence and into the early 20s, and sleep plays crucial roles in this developmental process. Adolescents experiencing chronic sleep restriction show impaired attention, academic performance, and emotional regulation. Based on what we currently understand about brain development, long-term effects could include altered brain maturation, with possible impacts on cognitive abilities and mental health that persist into adulthood. The combination of biologically driven circadian phase delay in teenagers, making them naturally inclined to later bedtimes, and early school start times creates a situation where many adolescents experience chronic sleep restriction throughout their school years. Recovery from sleep deprivation requires adequate recovery sleep, but the recovery process isn't instantaneous. After acute total sleep deprivation, cognitive function gradually improves over 1 to 3 days of recovery sleep, though subtle deficits may persist longer. After chronic partial sleep restriction, recovery appears to be slower and may be incomplete. Some research suggests that certain cognitive functions might not fully recover, even after multiple nights of extended sleep opportunity, particularly if sleep restriction has been severe or prolonged. This raises important questions about the lasting effects of the chronic sleep restriction that characterizes modern life for many people. Individual differences in vulnerability to sleep deprivation are substantial. Some people, often called resilient to sleep loss, maintain relatively good cognitive performance despite sleep restriction, while others, the vulnerable, show rapid and severe impairment. These differences appear to have genetic components. Studies of identical twins show similar patterns of sleep deprivation response, though the specific genes involved remain under investigation. Age affects vulnerability, with older adults generally showing greater resistance to some of sleep deprivation's effects on basic attention, possibly because of differences in sleep architecture or compensatory mechanisms developed over a lifetime. However, older adults may be more vulnerable to other effects, particularly those involving recovery and long-term consequences. Synchronizing your inner clock. The knowledge that our bodies run on internal clocks synchronized by light and other environmental cues provides powerful opportunities for optimizing health, performance, and well-being. Rather than fighting against your circadian rhythm, the strategy adopted by many people through alarm clocks, caffeine, and willpower, you can work with it, leveraging the natural ebb and flow of your biological processes to enhance sleep quality, boost daytime alertness, and promote overall circadian health. The practical applications of circadian science extend from simple lifestyle adjustments to sophisticated interventions for circadian disorders. Morning light exposure stands as perhaps the single most powerful tool for maintaining healthy circadian rhythms. Within the first hour after waking, getting exposure to bright light, ideally natural outdoor light, but even bright indoor light if outdoor isn't feasible, provides the primary daily signal that resets your circadian clock. This morning, light exposure serves multiple functions. It suppresses any residual melatonin from the night, promotes alertness, and anchors your circadian rhythm, making it easier to fall asleep at the appropriate time that evening. Even 15 to 30 minutes of outdoor morning light can make a substantial difference. On cloudy days, outdoor light still provides far more lux intensity than indoor lighting. 10,000 lux versus perhaps 300 lux indoors, making outdoor morning time valuable even without direct sun. Evening light management proves equally important. In the 2 to 3 hours before intended bedtime, reducing light exposure, particularly blue-rich light from screens, but really all bright light, allows your natural melatonin rise to occur unimpeded. This doesn't require sitting in darkness, but rather dimming lights, using warmer color temperatures if using LEDs, and avoiding bright screens. If screen use is necessary, using blue light filtering software or glasses may help, though simply reducing screen brightness and maintaining distance from the screen also reduces light exposure to the eyes. Creating a regular evening routine that includes dimming lights as bedtime approaches provides both a practical light reduction strategy and a behavioral cue that reinforces the transition to sleep. Maintaining a consistent sleep schedule, going to bed and waking up at approximately the same time each day, including weekends, helps keep your circadian rhythm stable and synchronized with your desired schedule. The temptation to catch up on sleep on weekends by sleeping in several hours late is understandable, but it can actually create a form of circadian misalignment called social jet lag. Your body essentially experiences a shift in time zones between weekdays and weekends, and the Monday morning difficulty so many people experience may reflect in part the need to rapidly shift circadian phase back to the weekday schedule. If you're chronically sleep-deprived on weekdays, the solution isn't weekend sleep-ins, but rather going to bed earlier on weeknights to get adequate sleep consistently. Meal timing influences circadian rhythms through multiple mechanisms. Time-restricted feeding, consuming all food within a consistent window each day, typically 8 to 12 hours, could help reinforce circadian rhythms even in the absence of strong light-dark cues. The research on this strategy comes primarily from animal studies, which show that time-restricted feeding can maintain circadian organization in mice whose master clocks have been disrupted. Human studies are limited but suggest potential benefits for metabolic health, and some research indicates that aligning eating times with your biological rhythms, eating during the active phase and avoiding late-night eating, may support both metabolic health and circadian stability. The mechanisms likely involve peripheral clocks in the liver and digestive system that are sensitive to feeding times. Physical activity and exercise influence circadian rhythms in timing-dependent ways. Morning exercise may help shift circadian phase earlier, supporting earlier sleep and wake times, while evening exercise has historically been thought to delay circadian phase, though recent research suggests this effect may be smaller than once believed. More importantly, regular physical activity, regardless of timing, appears to strengthen circadian rhythms and improve sleep quality. People who exercise regularly report better sleep, fall asleep more quickly, and experience more deep sleep than sedentary individuals. The caveat is that vigorous exercise very close to bedtime may be too alerting for some people, making it harder to fall asleep, though individual responses vary, and some people sleep fine after evening exercise. Body temperature manipulation can be used strategically to influence sleep. Taking a warm bath or shower 1 to 2 hours before bed exploits the temperature dynamics of sleep onset. The warm water raises your skin temperature and promotes vasodilation, blood vessel expansion in the extremities. After you exit the bath, your core temperature drops as heat dissipates from the dilated blood vessels in your hands and feet, mimicking the natural temperature decline that occurs before sleep. Studies have demonstrated that this bath-induced temperature drop can accelerate sleep onset and increase deep sleep. The timing matters. Too close to bedtime and the warming effect may interfere with sleep. Too early and the temperature effect dissipates before bedtime. For individuals with circadian rhythm disorders, conditions where the internal clock is either not properly synchronized with the environment or running on an abnormal cycle, more intensive interventions may be necessary. Delayed sleep phase disorder, where someone's natural sleep-wake timing is markedly later than societal norms, can be treated with morning bright light therapy combined with evening melatonin supplementation, gradually shifting the circadian rhythm earlier. Advanced sleep phase disorder, the opposite condition with excessively early sleep-wake timing, may respond to evening light exposure. Non-24-hour sleep-wake disorder, occurring primarily in blind individuals whose circadian systems lack light input, can sometimes be managed with scheduled melatonin administration to entrain the rhythm to a 24-hour cycle. Jet lag represents a temporary circadian misalignment caused by rapid travel across time zones. Your body's circadian rhythm remains synchronized to your origin time zone for several days, while you're now living in a destination time zone that may be many hours different. Strategic use of light exposure and avoidance can accelerate adaptation. When traveling east, morning light at the destination helps advance your circadian phase. When traveling west, evening light helps delay your phase. For trips of short duration, 2 to 3 days, some experts suggest it may be better not to attempt phase shifting at all, instead maintaining your home schedule as much as feasible, then readjusting upon return. For longer trips, adapting to the new time zone is worthwhile, and beginning the shift even before travel, gradually adjusting sleep time toward the destination schedule in the days before departure can ease the transition. Shift work presents perhaps the most challenging circadian situation. Working at night requires alertness when your circadian system is promoting sleep, and attempting to sleep during the day when multiple circadian factors promote wakefulness. For rotating shift workers, the circadian system never fully adapts because the schedule keeps changing. For permanent night shift workers, complete adaptation is theoretically possible but difficult to achieve in practice, because most people need to revert to daytime activity on days off, preventing full circadian reversal. Strategies for shift workers include bright light exposure during night work to promote alertness, darkness, and sleep hygiene strategies during daytime sleep, and careful use of strategic naps. Time-restricted feeding during the active phase may help maintain circadian organization. Recognizing the health risks associated with long-term shift work, some experts suggest that shift work should be a temporary rather than permanent career choice when possible. Caffeine, while not directly affecting circadian clocks, powerfully affects sleepiness and alertness by blocking adenosine receptors. Adenosine accumulates during wakefulness and promotes sleep. Caffeine temporarily blocks this signal. Strategic caffeine use can support circadian health, but mistimed caffeine can disrupt it. Morning caffeine consumption generally poses no problems for nighttime sleep, but caffeine has a half-life of about 5 hours, meaning that half the caffeine from a cup of coffee consumed at 3 p.m. remains in your system at 8 p.m. For many people, caffeine consumption after early afternoon can interfere with sleep onset, even if they don't consciously notice feeling wired. Individual sensitivity varies, with some people able to drink coffee after dinner with no ill effects, while others must avoid caffeine after noon to sleep well. Alcohol presents a different challenge. While it may help you fall asleep faster due to its sedative effects, alcohol disrupts sleep architecture, reducing REM sleep and causing more frequent awakenings in the second half of the night as it's metabolized. Regular alcohol consumption, particularly in the evening, can impair sleep quality despite its apparent sleep-promoting effects. For optimal sleep, Limiting alcohol consumption and avoiding it in the 3 to 4 hours before bedtime is advisable. Nicotine is another substance that can disrupt sleep. As a stimulant, it can delay sleep onset, and nicotine withdrawal during sleep can cause awakenings. The sleep environment deserves attention. Your bedroom should be cool, as discussed earlier, with temperature around 18 to 19 degrees Celsius. It should be dark. Even small amounts of light exposure during sleep can affect sleep quality in some individuals, and blackout curtains or sleep masks can help. Noise should be minimized, or if environmental noise is unavoidable, white noise or earplugs can help mask disruptive sounds. The bed and bedroom should be associated primarily with sleep and intimacy, not with wakefulness activities like work, television watching, or worrying. This helps strengthen the mental association between the bedroom and sleep, making it easier to fall asleep when you go to bed. The modern practice of sleeping in one continuous bout, called monophasic sleep, differs from historical and cross-cultural patterns. Some societies practice biphasic sleep, with a nighttime sleep period and a siesta. Evidence suggests that humans historically may have engaged in segmented sleep, sleeping in 2 separate periods during the night, with a wakeful interval between them. While consolidated monophasic sleep works well for most people in modern contexts, recognizing that other patterns exist and may suit some individuals can be liberating. A short afternoon nap, 20 to 30 minutes, can boost alertness and performance without interfering with nighttime sleep for most people, though longer naps or naps later in the day can make it harder to fall asleep at night. Ultimately, respecting your circadian rhythm rather than fighting it represents a paradigm shift in how we approach sleep and daily schedules. Our society has been structured around the assumption that humans can and should adapt to whatever schedule is demanded. Early morning classes, night shifts, rapidly changing schedules. But this assumption conflicts with our biology. While humans show remarkable adaptability, constantly overriding circadian signals comes at a cost. The growing understanding of circadian science suggests that, wherever possible, we should design our lives to align with, rather than oppose, our internal clocks. This means respecting individual chronotype differences, recognizing that some people are naturally morning types while others are evening types, and structuring education and work to accommodate this variation, rather than forcing everyone into the same schedule. It means prioritizing sleep as a non-negotiable pillar of health, rather than a luxury to sacrifice for productivity. And it means using light, timing, and other circadian tools strategically to support the natural rhythms that guide human biology. Conclusion. Your circadian rhythm represents one of the most fundamental aspects of human biology. A precisely calibrated system that orchestrates countless processes across every 24-hour period. From the molecular clockwork of gene expression to the daily rhythm of consciousness and sleep. From body temperature fluctuations to the ebb and flow of hormones, the circadian system provides the temporal organization that allows your body to anticipate and prepare for the predictable challenges of each day. This internal timekeeping, synchronized primarily by light and reinforced by other environmental cues, maintains remarkable alignment with Earth's 24-hour rotation. The knowledge that sleep isn't merely rest, but rather a complex, actively regulated state, serving essential functions: memory consolidation, metabolic regulation, immune function, waste clearance, emotional processing, transforms how we should think about sleep. It's not an optional luxury, but a biological necessity, as essential as food and water. The consequences of sleep deprivation and circadian disruption extend far beyond simple tiredness, affecting cognitive performance, mental health, physical health, and long-term disease risk in profound ways. Understanding these relationships provides both motivation to prioritize sleep and practical knowledge for optimizing circadian health. Perhaps most importantly, the science of circadian rhythms and sleep offers a path forward. Practical strategies grounded in biology that can help anyone improve their sleep and enhance their daily functioning. Morning light exposure, evening light reduction, consistent sleep schedules, attention to temperature, strategic meal timing, appropriate exercise, and a sleep-conducive environment. These aren't complicated interventions, but they align with rather than oppose your circadian biology. Implementing them creates conditions where your natural rhythms can function optimally, supporting the deep, restorative sleep that enables you to wake refreshed, alert, and ready to engage fully with life. If you found this exploration of circadian rhythms and sleep health valuable, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the Optimal Life Project. Your support helps us continue creating content that translates cutting-edge science into practical knowledge you can use to optimize your health and well-being. Share this video with anyone who might benefit from understanding their internal clock better. And remember, every night offers a new opportunity to support your circadian rhythm, to give your body the sleep it needs, and to wake up ready to live your optimal life. Sweet dreams, and here's to the remarkable circadian system that makes them possible.